In this video, I design a thumbnail. So I've been getting comments recently asking how I design my thumbnails or how to make dream-like thumbnails, and I promised I would show you guys, so that's exactly what today's video is all about. As always, if you found this video helpful or just enjoyed the video in general, please make sure you subscribe, it really means a lot. Without further ado, let's get right into the video. So the first thing you gotta do is actually install Mine-Imator. Mine-Imator is actually how I design my thumbnails, even if my friends can't be there or we didn't plan a thumbnail previously. So all you have to do is click on the first link in the description and it'll bring you to this website. This application can be used for thumbnails and it could also be used for animating. A lot of people use it to animate Minecraft videos, but I just use it to design my thumbnails. So you click download and you click the installer. Now after you download the installer, you're going to want to run it and download the application. After the application has successfully installed, make sure you run it. And after you've launched it, it'll load for the first time. So while that's happening, I can explain really quickly that Mine-Imator actually has a premium version that is also free. I do recommend donating though, just because it helps the developers out. But if you can't donate, you can just click I'd rather not donate and get the key for free. So after Mine-Imator's loaded, you're actually going to be seeing a screen like this one, except you won't see any recent projects. So click new project and name it whatever you want. I'm just going to name it tutorial number 2. Quick side note, holding right click allows you to actually look around and use the WASD keys to move. Now in order to load a world, you actually have to make the world in Minecraft, so I'm just going to launch up Minecraft here. Once Minecraft is launched, you're going to want to create a new world and name this whatever you want to name the world that you want to put your thumbnails on. For me, I'll put it in thumbnail world and it'll be the extra one because I already made one. But going creative so you can actually edit the world. After it generates the world, you're going to want to find a place where you want to set your thumbnails. Maybe you can load in a world that you played Manhunt on, or you can just create a new world and play it that way. Usually I just make a new world just because it's easier to edit, but anyways, this is actually a good spot for us to make this thumbnail. It looks like it's kind of underground, but at the same time, you know it's not underground because of the sides. And I think this is where actually we're going to put our thumbnail. So right now, I'm just going to line up my position, just make sure I can see what the thumbnail might look like. And I actually really like this. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to break 2 blocks here, just to make sure that, you know, a person can fit inside and make it look like I'm actually hiding from something. Just like one of my Manhunt thumbnails. When you're done with that, you're going to want to save and quit, and Mine-Imator will actually remember the position of your player, so don't worry about that. Now you're going to want to go back into Mine-Imator, and once you're back into Mine-Imator, you're going to want to click on this top left workbench and click on this button right here, and it'll generate a piece from your world. To do that, you have to click Scenery and Import from World. Now you click Browse, and once you get to here, it'll go to your saves. If it doesn't automatically go to your saves, you can follow %appdata%. Go here and then click .minecraft and then saves and then tutorial or thumbnail number 1 for me. Click on your world and you're going to want to use the level.dat. That is the most important bit. That's all you need, the level.dat, and then it'll take the piece from there. To select the piece that you want though is different because it'll actually generate the view on this side and on this side. This shows how far it goes, and this shows how deep it goes. So for my thumbnail, I'm going to zoom out a little bit. It's a little choppy, but I'm going to zoom out a little bit, and I think I want to generate at least this much, just because I don't need a lot of this area, but I need this area because the camera actually goes towards there. Now for depth, I actually don't need it that deep because I just need the top, but I do need just enough so that you can see what's going on. So I'm going to click Done, it's going to create a 3D model, and I'm going to click Create. Now this is my 3D model right here, just like that. And just like that, we should have our location right here. Now as you can see, the lighting isn't the best, so what you want to do is go into background here and actually change the time to whatever you want. So we just keep doing this until we get something we like that. Oh, I like that because it's fully lit and it shows everything going on. We still have a little bit of green patch there, but that's okay. I can cut that out later on. I just want to make sure that I have a good enough location. So with a good enough location, now we're going to set it so we put the people in. So to put the people in, it goes where your camera is actually looking, and you'll click on the workbench again and import this guy. Now you can have it either Steve or Alex. Usually it's Steve for me because I play with my guy friends, or if you want an Alex model, that's okay too, but you download from Minecraft user. And then you just enter your name. So for me, it's just Wilson. And I'll get the skin. and I'll download and click create. Now see, this is the first confusing part. You don't see your person, and that's because it's actually inside or on the other side, okay? It's really confusing. I don't know why it does that, to be honest, but you can just click on your person or click here, and then you can move him. Anyways, we want to get into this guy, and we're going to move him into place. So we're just going to do this. We're going to put him in here, and yes. So how you actually change the models or want to move the models yourself is completely up to you. But the way to do that is you click on a body part, or you can actually click on this little tick right down here, and then click on whatever you want. So if I wanted to make him look crouching, I'll just click on this yellow bit. The blue bits actually represent how much you want them to bend. So I don't know if you want them to bend a lot. I mean, this is kind of silly, but some people like that, you know? So I'll make him a little bit bendy, and his arms as well. So his legs you can change, but his arms need to change because when you're crouching, you're not exactly perfect. So I'll click on his arms, and there you go. Now for his head, I can either click on his head down here or click on the box over here. Sometimes it won't work just because, look, if I have a hat and I click on that, I don't want to be moving my hat. So with that, you can always hit Control Z to undo. So I want to change this, and I want to make sure that it's, you know, kind of believable. So there. Now I have someone that looks like they're crouching and looking upwards. Now to add my second character, I am going to look just either straight or straight down. Straight down is easy sometimes just because you want the people to come in. And I'll put my really good friend Juko, which I do most of my videos with anyways. He just changed his name, by the way. So we just create him, and we go straight down, and there he is. See, look how I clicked on it, and it went onto his hat, so that did not work, and if that ever happens, it's easy. See, this is his classification. You want to just click Steve, and now you got to control his whole body. So I'm going to control his whole body. I'm going to bring him up here, and I'm going to just position him where I want him to first. Let's say I want him to be right over here. And we'll bring him up here, and then we'll turn him a little bit and make it a little bit more suspenseful with this, and we'll get his head to look towards my direction. So we'll just get this bend down here, and there we go. So something like this is already a really good thumbnail. I'd say for something for a little bit closer, or just to make it a little scarier, I'd bring him a little closer just like this, and then make him look a little lower. So that's his hat. Make sure you're on his head. Again, if you make any mistakes at any point, Control Z to help you with that. But let's say this, okay? I like this. That was scary. I like this. And on his arm, we're going to add something to his arm. So to add something to your arm, let's click on his body first, and we'll click on his right arm. I'm going to take his arm out, because when you're holding something in Minecraft, it's default always going to come out, right? Now I'm going to give him a sword. Let's say this sword right here. Again, it might go through. If that goes through, you can always move it. But usually with items, they spawn a little bit better. So we'll do this, and we'll position it how we want it to be. And we'll move this back just like that. We'll get a little closer so it's a little bit more clear. There it's in his arm, and in Minecraft users, it kind of goes straight to the handle just like that. And there we have it. We have a fully good thumbnail. It's perfectly fine. I mean, there's a little bit problem over here, but again, you can always change that if you added a bigger chunk size. This is just the tutorial, but again, if you want, you can always add more. The bigger you can put, the longer it'll take to load, but the nicer it becomes. And remember, you can use one world for multiple thumbnails. That's what I've done in the past. I've made multiple thumbnails from one world. So with this, you click on Export Current Frame to Image File, and that'll give you an option like this. Now, I usually use 1440p just so I can zoom in, maybe even 4K so I can zoom in even more. But it's completely up to you, because at the end of the day, when you upload it, it's not going to be over 720p. You can do a high quality render, which makes it kind of look like a high quality kind of image, which I'll show you here. Or you can make it a low quality render, which is what I actually prefer. I actually prefer the low quality ones solely for the fact that they look more realistic towards the game. So after I'm done with this, I'll actually just click save. And it'll save my project, and I can open it up later on if I want to make any changes, and I just X out of it. Once I've X'd out of it, I'll actually take the image and I'll throw it into a photo editing software, either Photoshop or I'd like to use Affinity Photo. We'll jump over to Affinity Photo and we'll do the rest from there. Now, just a quick note, I am on MacBook, and that is because my photo editing software is on my MacBook. I don't have it on Windows, but Affinity Photo is actually on both Windows and Mac. Same with Photoshop. So I put the images on my hard drive and I drag them onto Mac. So how I do this is I'll actually start a new document and I will go on to Full HD and create it. I'll actually drag in the images I want. So I'll go into my hard drive, I'll go into my thumbnail assets, which is the folder I put on for this, and I'll put tutorial number 1. So we do this, and notice how since we actually exported in 4K, it's way bigger than the actual sizes. That's okay, we can just bring it down to size there, and let's put the parts that we actually want. So the main focus here is me and him. So I'm gonna stretch it out a little bit and make sure we both in the frame. So I actually like this. This is okay for me, and that's good. So after I do that, I'll put in my edits. And depending on what your taste is, you can actually put different things like emojis or speed lines. So how I do a manhunt video is I'll actually put in speed lines. So I'll actually go into my thumbnail assets and import speed lines. This image right here. So notice how it's actually got black on it. So a way to make this transparent and make the speed lines actually on the image is to click on the blending option and change it to screen. And that'll take away all the black and maintain everything else. So this already looks pretty good. I think I'm just going to rearrange this just a little bit more to put a little bit of Juco in the frame a little bit more. But how I make him pop out a little bit more is I can actually add another type of asset to it. I can actually go into my thumbnail assets again and then do this. And this is just a lens flare that really adds a pop to the hunter, I think. So I'll throw that in and I'll actually resize it to his eyeball. It just makes it a little bit more fun, you know? So we could do something like this. Then we can hold control and do it again. And see how they're actually overlapping each other? So what I do is I just click the erase tool. Oh, Control Z works for everything. And I'll actually just click on the sizing. And I'll just get rid of the part where it's overlapping. And there you go. You have something that's kind of like this. So if you want to add anything, let's say you wanted to add the laughing emoji, it's very simple. You just search it up in Google, click images, and then you're going to want to click tools, and then color and transparent. This will make it so the background is actually transparent. You save this image as a PNG. You always want to save it as a PNG. So I'm going to save it on my desktop for now because that's the easiest way to find it. I'll go and drag it onto my image here. And there you go. I have an emoji. Now to do this, all I have to do is resize this, bring this down a little bit, and maybe I'll turn it to the side. If anything, I'll bring it up above the speed lines just because I want the speed lines to be below everything, other than the image itself. But we have something like this. And let's say I wanted to capture someone's attention, I'll actually just draw an arrow. For example, I'll draw an arrow here. I'll make the text red. And for example, if I want to draw attention to the hunter itself, I'll make a red arrow. So how I do that is just click the paintbrush tool, make it a little bit harder here, and then add arrows to it. So I'll just do this. I'll bring this down. And then I'll put a text layer just here, and I'll call it the hunter. You want it to pop out. So obviously you want to change the text color, and we'll change it to, let's say, red. And if that's a little bit too much, maybe we could do that and we'll resize the arrow because we made it a new layer. Or what other people do is they actually search up arrow. They'll go in images, not this arrow, the cartoon arrow. And then we will do something like this. Make sure we have the tool, size, or color and transparent again. And something like this again. We can save it. Desktop. Click on desktop. drag it in, rearrange it, and we can do something like this instead. And then delete my old arrow. This is like basically what I do in order to create a thumbnail. It's nice and simple. You can always change it to whatever you'd like. It's just how I create what's underneath that's really important. Make sure you download Mine-Imator because that's what everybody uses to create their thumbnails. It's easy and it's free, so it's definitely affordable. But after you're done that, you just export it as JPEG usually. You're gonna want to keep it under 2 megabytes or else it won't upload onto YouTube. So export it, and I'll name this the tutorial 2 and desktop. And there you go. When you're done, all you have to do is actually call back to this image, which is now on your desktop, and drag it when you're uploading a thumbnail. Anyways, I hope this video wasn't too confusing. If it was, or you're confused at any point, just let me know in the comments. I'll try to reply. I'm not too sure how to film tutorial videos if you couldn't tell, but if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Make sure to always save your work, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
Go crazy!